Mia had it at least, that's what the outside world thought. As the heiress to a billion-dollar tech empire, her life was filled with high-rise offices, luxury cars, and back-to-back meetings in cities she barely had time to enjoy. But behind the designer clothes and boardroom confidence was a young woman exhausted by expectations. Every decision she made was scrutinized, every smile calculated for public image. The pressure to be perfect, to be the future of the company, left her feeling like a character in someone else's story. One evening, after yet another corporate event filled with shallow conversations and empty compliments, Mia looked in the mirror and saw a stranger. That night, she packed a duffel bag with plain clothes, left her phone behind, and quietly slipped out of her penthouse. With only her driver's license and a little cash, she hit the road in a used SUV she'd secretly bought online. For the first time in years, she didn't know exactly where she was going, and that felt like freedom. No assistance, no security team, no press. Just open roads, greasy diners, and the possibility of finding something real. Mia wasn't running away. She was running towards something, though she didn't yet know what. Mia had been driving for hours, the gray skies above matching the mix of nerves and freedom brewing inside her. Somewhere past the county line, the two-lane road curved into farmland and pine trees. That's when it happened. Her SUV jolted, sputtered, and rolled to a slow stop. She tried the ignition again. Nothing. Rain began to fall in steady sheets, tapping against the windshield like a ticking clock. With no cell phone and no clue what to do, she stepped out, her sneakers sinking slightly into the mud. Just when she began to second-guess everything, a pair of headlights appeared down the road. A beat-up pickup truck slowed and pulled over. Out stepped a man in his late 30s, wearing a flannel shirt, worn jeans, and a calm smile that didn't seem rehearsed. "Car trouble?" he asked, wiping rain from his brow. Mia hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, I think it just gave up on me." He didn't ask who she was or why someone like her was alone in the middle of nowhere. Instead, he popped the hood, checked a few things, and offered to tow it back to his shop a few miles down the road. "Name's Tom," he said, extending a grease-stained hand. "Garage is warm and I make a mean cup of coffee if you're stuck for a while." Mia looked at his hand, then back at her lifeless car. Maybe this breakdown wasn't a setback. Maybe it was the moment everything truly began. What was meant to be a short stop stretched into hours. The rain didn't let up, and neither did the conversation. Tom worked steadily in the garage, explaining what went wrong with her SUV in simple terms, while Mia watched from a bench near the space heater, sipping the promised coffee, surprisingly good, strong, and no nonsense, just like him. There was something grounding about the way he spoke. No flashy words, no hidden agenda. Over the next couple of days, as her car repairs dragged on, Tom offered her a spare room above the garage just until things got sorted. Mia hesitated at first, but said yes. Something about the place felt safe, honest. In between fixing cars, Tom would talk about his late wife, Emily, a school counselor who used to bring troubled teens by the shop to learn about engines and responsibility. After she passed, Tom kept the tradition alive. "It's not just about fixing cars," he told Mia one night. "It's about giving kids a place to be seen, to matter." That struck a chord. Mia, who had spent her life being watched but never seen, began to feel connected for the first time in a long while. She helped where she could, organizing tools, sweeping floors, even listening to the teen stories. She and Tom laughed often, sometimes quietly, sometimes so loudly it echoed off the metal walls. And little by little, what started as coincidence began to feel a lot like fate. Days turned into weeks, and Mia found herself waking up with a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in years. There were no alarm clocks, no back-to-back meetings, no one measuring her worth in stock prices or press coverage. Instead, she was learning how to change oil, rotate tires, and talk to teenagers who'd been told they wouldn't amount to much. One of the boys, Jamal, asked her why someone like her would waste time in a place like this. She smiled and said, "Because for once, it doesn't feel like a waste." The simplicity of the routine morning coffee, elbow grease, Shared meals at the workbench brought her unexpected peace. She wasn't just helping around the garage, she was helping rebuild people, one small kindness at a time. Tom never treated her like a guest or a charity case. He saw her. And the more time she spent there, the more she realized she wasn't lost anymore. She was right where she needed to be. In this dusty little shop, surrounded by second chances and secondhand tools, Mia was finally living something real. The quiet didn't last forever. One morning, Mia stepped out of the garage to find a sleek black town car parked by the Curb Company logo on the license plate. Her older brother stood beside it, suit sharp as ever, expression tighter than usual. "Dad's been worried sick," he said, handing her a phone she hadn't seen in weeks. On the other end was her father's familiar voice, cold but controlled, asking her to come home, to stop playing pretend and remember who she was. The board was uneasy, the media asking questions. They wanted her back in heels, back in meetings, back in the cage she'd finally escaped. For the first time, Mia didn't fold under the weight of their expectations, but the doubt crept in. Was she being selfish? Irresponsible? Tom, sensing her turmoil, didn't try to sway her. "Whatever choice you make," he said, gently wiping grease from his hands, "just make sure it's yours." That night, Mia sat alone in the garage, surrounded by the smell of oil and memories, staring at two lives tugging in opposite directions. One led back to polished boardrooms and power lunches. The other, to freedom, love, and something far less glamorous but far more real. And her heart already knew the answer. Mia didn't get back in that town car. Instead, she handed the phone back to her brother with a calm smile and said, "Tell Dad I'm exactly where I need to be." That moment marked the true beginning of her new life. She stayed in the little town, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Over time, she and Tom became partners not just in love, but in purpose. Together, they expanded the garage's outreach, turning it into a full-fledged mentorship hub for teens who needed guidance, patience, and someone to believe in them. Mia used her business skills to secure funding quietly, never putting her name in headlines. Her father, though still unsure, eventually came around. He never visited, but every now and then, a donation would arrive with no sender, just a small note that read, "Proud of you." The garage walls, once silent, now echoed with laughter, music, and the buzz of second chances being built one wrench turn at a time. And as the seasons changed, so did Mia, grounded, fulfilled, and deeply in love. She didn't need boardrooms or big titles anymore. She had found her place in the world, one far from the spotlight, but shining with more meaning than she ever imagined.